Hi, I'm Dr. Jamil Sayed, and on this podcast, we're going to talk about some deep stuff. I'm here to tell you that you're amazing, and often, the only person who can't see that is you. No matter who you are, what you do, or where you're from, there's greatness in you. Let's talk about it. In today's episode, you'll meet Dorothy, a powerful woman navigating a challenge that many of us face but rarely talk about openly. How do you know when it's time to stop living from obligation and start living from truth? What begins as a conversation about a specific life decision quickly reveals deeper questions around guilt, self-trust, responsibility, and the courage to choose a path that feels aligned, even when others may not understand it. If you've ever felt torn between what you want and what you think you should do, this conversation is for you. Let's begin. Hey, Dorothy, so wonderful to be with you today. Thank you for saying yes to be here.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to be a part of anything you're doing. So, yes, I'm happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. So please let me know, what is it that you would love to get from our conversation today? What would be valuable for you?
What I would like to get from our conversation today would be a clear focus on how I would need to move to continue to remove people that are not adding to my circle properly without offending, but still putting you on the shelf and leaving you on the shelf. That's one. Secondly, I want to reinforce to myself that I'm actually doing it properly. Being able to have conversations that may be difficult, but being able to listen better. So, ideally, I'd like to leave this conversation with a clear understanding of the direction I want to go in and how to go about it, but also be at peace with myself.
I so love that. Thank you very much. And so I wrote
Yeah.
that down. And so this first part, clear focus, and let me know if I didn't write it down exactly right, but clear focus on who I need to be and how I need to be in order to remove people from my life who don't belong there, while still, let's say, doing it in a way that is received as well as possible in a respectful way without losing myself.
Yes.
Cool. Okay. So let's play with that. So clear focus on who I need to be and how I need to be to remove people who don't belong. What's the current way of doing that?
Well, the current way of doing it is actually just being me. But I think based on our past conversations, I have adjusted, pivoted to be um, nicer in my delivery is going to be an easy way to put it. As opposed to being my usual blunt self, I
Yeah.
have tried to figure a way to couch it with words that are more thoughtful,
Yeah.
but still delivering the same result that you need to step out, you need to
Yeah.
go, but in a more thoughtful way. Because I mean, I'd like to be able to say, well, you're really stressing me out, and this is not working.
Yeah.
That would be easy, but then it's sort of, well, then I gotta pussyfoot around it, and it just makes me feel like I'm playing games. That's not me.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
be me. I want to be able to say, Jamil, I'm not having fun with you. That's it. As opposed to, well, we have to talk.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
not genuine. So I still want to be able to do that because it makes me feel really good and free when I'm able to remove somebody who's not really adding anything to my space.
Yeah.
They're actually making me very apprehensive. So.
Yeah. Currently, without bringing any names into it, when you think about people or a person who's no longer providing that value to your life, what's the hesitation from for you of removing them from your life?
I've said it so many different ways that you're not adding to my life. I've said it so many different ways. It's not being received. I've said it. I've said, we have polar opposite conversations. I disagree with what you're saying. I disagree with how you're saying it. And I don't think this is a friendship that's working for me.
Yeah.
And it's been, well, I don't understand that. I've been a very good friend to you. No, you haven't. You're stressing me out. So
Yeah. So
there's
then,
got to be a
yeah.
better way to deliver that.
Yeah. So in those moments, you've said things like that. They
Mhm.
respond the way they do. Then what happens after? You guys separate, a couple days go by, and then you hang out again? Or
Could be
they,
a week. I don't hang out. That's the thing. I don't hang out. I get phone calls. I get phone calls, and we've got to vent about an issue. But the venting then becomes more telling me that I'm wrong or how I perceived something or understood something is not what it's supposed to be because this person is so much older and they've lived longer. And I think it muddies the waters because respectfully, I would like to be able to just be free
yeah,
of this particular situation. And when I don't pick up the phone, then I get text messages, then I get emails. But I keep saying, well, what am I saying that is missing the point? Because I've said to you, this is not a relationship that's working for me, but it seems to be working for you. So
yeah,
it's a one-sided thing.
two things come up for me. One is the concept of what I call leaky boundaries, and the second is the idea that people treat us the way we train them to treat us. And so let's just kind of combine those two. So if I enforce a boundary, or rather if I set a boundary, but then I don't enforce it, it trains the other person to continue to walk over the boundary. It trains the other person to continue to push. And so, how do we train people how to treat us based on what we tolerate? So, if I tell you, Dorothy, I don't want to talk to you anymore, and then you message me like 3 days later, and then we talk, and then you message me 4 days later, and then we talk. I'm training you that whatever I said, don't take it seriously. And so, first, I want to just start there. What do you hear there, and how could that apply to what you've been experiencing?
You know, I hear what you're saying. And there've been, I think I went 3 or 4 months without talking to this person, and I was at peace. I don't know what actually triggered a phone call or was it a text message? I don't know whether somebody in that family got hurt or I don't know. So I picked up the phone because there was a concern and I didn't want to be a cold person. But I agree with the boundaries being crossed. It's funny. This is the only person who does that. Everybody else I've told I'm good with kind of goes away.
Yeah,
This person, and it's also possible that, well, deep down, we may have gone through a couple of really very difficult moments together. So there might be some underlying empathy. I don't know, which is kind of holding together. But I also I don't hang out with anybody. It's a rather peaceful existence that way. I found it very happy. But I think if it's a phone call, when it was dead silence for about 4 months, I was happy. It
yeah,
was good. They were there back of mine because of a family thing, but not my family. But you kind of look at it and say, wow, this is interesting, so this is the only person who kind of crosses a boundary. Right? It's not, it's not it is disrespectful, but not in a way that makes me dislike you intensely. So I think this is just a strange friendship or
yeah.
relationship, which, could be I don't know, could be shut down in a nicer way.
Yeah.
I'm working on
So,
it.
just to be clear then for me, so first, this is predominantly one person that this is
Yeah.
happening with. There's a relationship, a friendship that has been complicated,
Yes.
and you've been through different, let's say challenging times together.
Yeah.
Is there a reason that you can connect to why you think this person could hear you say, "Hey, this isn't working for me. Basically, I'm out," and continue to lean in and push?
Well, I think a huge thing, I think that's also that I've been a very, very strong supporter of this person going through whatever they've been going through, all the negativity or trials, difficulty, monetarily. I've just been there.
Yeah.
So there has been instances where, and it's been over some time, years, a couple years maybe, that I've been very solid because that person was going through some difficulty. But I think what's really making it clear now is that I'm going through difficulty based on having had this knee replacement. I haven't worked in a while, almost a year actually, and it's not reciprocated.
Yeah.
So I personally just feel I don't want anybody in my life who keeps saying we're family, but doesn't act like it.
Yeah.
Because my family, my true family doesn't do that,
Yeah.
so I just feel it's lopsided. And I've dealt with other people very easy, and it's not cavalier, but it's very easily done. But it just seems to be a disconnect where this particular person just doesn't get it.
Yeah. So if we play with the idea that if this person, let's say, has internalized Dorothy is always there for me because you've been
Yeah.
this support system. Dorothy's there for me. I can count on her. I can rely on her. I've got all this evidence to support that. And now she's seemingly putting up this wall. She's seemingly trying to, push me away. If you're the only or one of the few supports that this person has, that could feel scary and frightening. That could feel like they're not, oh, you don't mean that. Like,
Yeah.
you said that before, and then we kept talking. And so that could be that. Now, on the flip side, is there any reason, and I want you to really be with that because it could be subtle, is there any reason why you might feel the way you feel and yet still want to keep that person around?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that person is a terrific sounding board, you
Mm,
know. It's a terrific sounding board. I do a lot of internal conversations. I do a lot of alone conversations. I try to work through my processes and sometimes without having to pay a therapist, because, where you pay a therapist, not you, but the normal traditional therapists, I guess they are. They just listen. I'm not having this deep conversation with them, what I have with you. You are on a different planet. So um, you allow me to just go a little haywire and talk things through properly. But regular therapists, I pay you to sit there and shut up pretty much because you're not coming up with any real solutions or conversational pieces or you're too busy trying to diagnose me or figure me out without truly listening. So, yeah, this person, but again, it's sort of the sense that sometimes this person's a terrific sounding board. Sometimes I think but that's been far and few between.
mm,
Whereas I've been more of a receptacle for that sounding board. So I hear more from that other side as opposed to me going in. But when it's important, where you can't talk, there's certain things you just really can't talk through with the kids or um, I don't know. It's just,
yeah.
yeah, deep down, I think that's why this person is still around, even though I have pulled back quite a bit in my uh, space where I want to use that person as a sounding board. So I'm not
Yeah.
really out having a lot of chats with people. I tend to internalize a lot, which I'm realizing is we need to find a way to get back to you.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's remembering, everything we do for a reason. We're not always
Yeah,
conscious of that reason, but it always makes sense, and that meaning that there's always a benefit. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. And so if there's a person in my life who let's say the relationship is disproportional in terms of the giving, I've given
yeah,
a lot, I'm not really receiving that much. But what I am receiving is this occasional sounding board that's terrific that I don't really have in other capacities where maybe there's a part of me that even though I'm enforcing the boundary is afraid to like fully enforce the boundary because I don't want to lose this thing that I have. even if it's few and far between.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I hear you, and you are spot on. And I've also spent some time really thinking this particular situation through quite a bit. Um, and I think it was only recently I started feeling that a lot of the discussions that come my way from this person gets a little, it sometimes makes me feel as if it's just dragging me into the muck of nonsense that I don't want to be in. And it's only recently started again. So I'm at the point where really I'm getting to, okay, fine, I need to just sever ties and see you occasionally at stuff.
Yeah.
I don't see you much. I think it's more, I would get a text, I have to talk to you about this, or we need to talk about this, or I need to give you this skinny on something. And I go, no. I mean, I'm very good. I'd say, no, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear it. But we still, you still bulldoze right through it. You just bulldoze right through. What do you mean you want to hear it? Just hear me out. And then it becomes okay, fine, go ahead, you know?
Mm.
But I'm doing whatever I need to do. So for somebody like me who's really strong as just cutting you loose and letting it go, I'm just at a point now where I really need to just cut and be done.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
Yeah.
something to I want to point out. It could be the same answer of a question that I asked you previously, but just in case it's
Yeah.
different. You're such a powerful human being, and you're so capable of enforcing a boundary and saying no and removing yourself from a situation. What's different about this person?
Maybe because I think she doesn't have any friends either. I
Mm,
think the person, I really believe also that's very limited. I think that's literally what I'm thinking, where I've said to myself so much that I'm very comfortable in my own space, in my own skin. I love myself. I'm crazy. I tell people I'm crazy about myself. I love myself. I'm crazy about myself, which is maybe cocky, it's arrogant, but it's just, I am so happy in my space alone. No distractions, just here, which can be very antisocial, maybe. But I have adapted to this and I live it fully. I think that this is a person who may be starving for a friendship. And because we're pretty similarly outspoken, um, maybe I serve a purpose there too. But personally, I think I'm in a space where I just want to be able to focus on myself a little bit more without the noise, without
yeah,
the outside drama, without the outside discussions of which I'm not a part of, but I'm getting second, third hand.
yeah,
Thereby trying to put me in a place of um, being a part of something that I really don't care for. I've gotten to a space in my life where I don't care. I don't want to
yeah,
know. I'm very good with not knowing because once I know, and if it's negative and it's bad, then my natural instinct is we've got to fix it.
yeah,
We've got to find a good way to fix it. And that puts me back in a space where I'm trying to move forward and do a whole bunch of other things that would not have this much ripple in my life.
yeah. Now, in response to that question I asked you, what I heard you say is, I don't know if she has, let's say, many other friends, let's say. And what I heard there under like the underneath the words, which may be wrong, is there's like a sense of empathy, like you're feeling bad for her and you don't want to pull away because she might not have anybody else. If that's the case, try this on. There's this idea that many people go in and out of. One way of describing it is like a savior complex. And it's the idea of it's my responsibility to care for this person's well-being, or it's my responsibility to save this person, or without me, this person would be in this horrible spot. And often that isn't the case. We just think it is. And I first want to just open it up and see what do you hear there?
I'm not there yet. I don't think I could possibly save this person. This person is
Yeah.
um, a savior unto their own. I don't think I am close or remotely trying to save this person. I'm trying to save my sanity. I'm
Yes,
trying to
yeah,
save
yeah.
me.
But notice that you're trying to save you, but it's almost like saying, I'm standing on the dock and
Yeah.
there's an anchor. No, no, I'm standing on the dock and there's a like a metal clasp or whatever it would be on my ankle, and the chain is on a boat, and there's a really long chain. So I've got some slack, and the boat starts going. Meaning, if I don't get my ankle off this thing soon, I'm going to get pulled into the water. And it's like, well, I'm really trying to save myself, but I'm not undoing the ankle chain. So it's like if you're trying to save yourself, but you're not removing yourself from the situation fully, is there some version of, I feel like this person needs me where I'm not willing to leave or something like that?
That's really interesting. That's really interesting because I have not put, and I'd have to say, I've not put a lot of thought into that piece but that analogy was spot on. I haven't really thought of how best to save myself except to say I'm out. And that's cold and callous. I'm learning. I'm out. I'm done. Block you and cut the ties and done. That's what I do because I don't want to be bothered. And I could very well do that and I'll be out of touch for the next 6 months. But I also feel that's not truthful.
Mhm.
That's not truthful, but I also believe that there's several ways I could have this conversation, and I think I've had it several ways. So now I'm getting to, you're sort of in between this rock and a hard place, I think, where I want to be nice about it, but I'm done.
Yeah. When you say it's not truthful, what would feel truthful?
Truthful in terms of me, me trying to find a way to be nice about it.
Yeah.
You you had the savior complex. Not there. I'm not even close to being there. This person doesn't qualify for that. Um, I personally don't think I need to work at that savior complex at all. Not a situation for that. But it's again, it's sort of you got the boat and the chain. I see that, and my not trying to unravel the chain. I think I've tried, but I haven't really put effort into it. So that might be a good one. But then it's sort of like a really bad relationship I'm in. It could be abusive, but it's not in a sense. But then you keep asking yourself, why am I still allowing this person in my life here? Why? When my natural instinct is just to wash my hands free and be gone. And again, subconsciously, I think that may be an only friend. And that's only because I've been told that.
Yeah.
And so maybe I don't want to just leave you floundering because I feel bad. Then I'm going to be your only friend who's left you, which then becomes, so I feel bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad. And that has been one of my biggest dilemmas going on because now I'm not it's financially even trying to help. I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's all cut off. Um, But that little piece of not truly understanding why I just struggling with that one. But
Yeah.
at
Well,
some point, I will figure it out because right now I'm just going to I'm making my notes, pros and cons. What do you say? What did I say? And I'm working on that. And
yeah. Well, one thing to be with is I come from a space of it's not a question of what's the right decision and what's the wrong decision. That often paralyzes people. It's more of a question of what is the right decision for me in my specific situation, given my values, my standards, the life that I want to live going forward. And when you can think about that, it's not like there's a, let's say, the human compassionate perspective, and then there's more of the binary black and white kind of more robotic, like, and not necessarily without a heart, but just the idea of, all right, something either works or it doesn't. Given the life that I'm wanting to create, does this amplify that or take away from it? Is it dragging me down or is it holding me up? There's that component. Then there's the other component, which sounds like you're in the thick of, which is I really want to be nice about this. I want to have a conversation that has heart, that has this person receive it as well as possible. But when you said it's not abusive, in a way, it's abusive to you. It's you being abusive to you, not meaning to, but you being abusive to you by remaining in a situation that's causing you internal conflict, pain, draining of energy, whatever it might be.
Agreed. Agreed. So now I have to figure that out. I agree with that. That's literally, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So if we were, would it help to role play? You want to role play the conversation?
Let's role play.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're you and I'm this person. And how would that conversation have gone? How's it gone up until this point? So you've said whatever you've said, and then what do they do?
The conversation has been, listen, I really don't want to be involved with all the nonsense that we're talking about at whatever local, state, national. I don't care. I'm not interested. I'm in a very good space. I am so happy with me. We need to just figure out not to have a chat about it. What do you mean you don't want to talk about it? What do you mean you don't want to talk about it? I don't understand that. I mean, this is where you're strong. These are the topics you fight for. This is what you do. You fight for the underdog. I say, yeah, I do, but it's exhausting having to consistently have these conversations with you that are not really going anywhere because I'm inclined to take action. You want to tell me about it, so I will take action. Not doing that for anybody anymore.
Yeah.
And I've done that. I am not doing that for anybody anymore. Unless I'm in the room, I am having the first person conversation. I'm not doing a second, third, fourth party convo. Don't care. Done all that. I've done all that.
Yeah.
And it's been, well, anyway, fine. You're still going to hear me out. And I say, no,
Mm.
no. And when I say no, it goes off. Now it's gone. Then I'll get maybe a text or something 2 days later, say, do you want to talk about it? No.
Yeah.
And then it'll come up again. So I think and that's sort of the general role play, but it's sort of where, and this happens with quite a few people, but the other people who have done stuff like that or brought situations to me when I've said, not interested, back off. They just, okay, fine, Dorothy, but how would you suggest I handle it? And my position is just go talk to the person and let them know this is what you heard and this is how you feel about it and I'd address it. But I'm not going to do it for you. So what happens then? That situation just fizzles and dies
Yeah.
and it goes away. This will fizzle, but it'll come up several times over because I may be in the same committee or group with you, and then I'll remove myself from the group. Because if that's the root, if that's the conversation, if that's what is going to keep coming up, then I don't want to be in groups or committees like that. So I may remove myself. By removing myself, am I hurting myself? Um, I haven't seen where it has hurt me yet in terms of not being a part of a group where I think there's just too much controversy. I don't care. Not interested anymore. But I am still part of certain committees where there may be some discussions or topics that I don't want to be a part of, but the overarching purpose of the group is good.
Yeah.
So I just stay out of the nonsense, so to speak, because the overarching purpose and why I'm there and how I'm making my points on how I'm being heard is positive. So I can partition the two. It's just this one just doesn't
Yeah.
hear or accept or want to. So I'm getting ready to put up a blockade.
Yeah.
In a sense, yeah.
So if we say that before we kind of do any role play, if we say that the means of communication are in person, text, phone call, those are the primary, or is there anything else?
Yeah,
How often are you seeing this person in person currently?
it's been a while, maybe a few months.
A few months. How often is there a text exchange happening?
I think recently it's been maybe uh I've gotten it down to a week.
So like a once a week kind of thing?
Well, if recently it's been once a week or so, but if there's something urgently pressing, like yesterday, I got several. I got a call, I got a text, and I got an email.
Yeah.
Like you got, and I'm saying no, so I haven't responded yet.
Yeah. And to be clear, these are the type of messages that are of the category that this is a waste of my time. I don't need to be a part of this. Or is any of this actually urgent that you would need to respond to?
No,
No. Okay.
by my standards, no. By their standards, it's earth-shattering.
Yeah.
But my standards is a no. So I'll just sit on it for a few days or a week or just ignore it till I get another. Can you call me, please? And then it's kind of important. Then I'm like, okay, fine. Is somebody dead, dying, what? Then maybe I will respond. But if it's just, I need to talk to you about the matter we're talking about now, I just don't
Yeah.
respond.
And is it accurate that in those moments where you go, all right, fine, and then you call, and then it just still turns into the same old, same old?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And at that point, I said, listen, I'm in the middle of something. I've got to go.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I just do that.
Yeah. So it's like there's a point in, let's say, time, and this could be in any area of life, where a person gets fed up enough with the situation that they reach a threshold where it's like enough is enough. And when they reach the enough is enough, anything beyond that is they're going to cut ties. Now, the alternative is this. If I say, enough is enough, I can't handle this anymore, I'm done. And then I just keep letting it in. I'm teaching my subconscious mind that essentially keep bringing these things to me because I'm going to let them in, even though I say that I'm not. And so, what about this? What if you were to, would you want to handle this in person, or do you want this to be more of a letter or a message, or what feels most authentic to you?
I I am an in-person type person because for something like this, but for something like this, I think that if I sent an email, I can be caustic in an email. So no, it'll just be business and probably two sentences and I'll call it a day.
Yeah, so you want in
I'm not
person.
writing your love letter. No, this is
Yeah,
it. I'm done. I'm over it. Be gone.
yeah,
In person, I think it allows the other person for me to be able to express your views. And I would say, okay, I heard you, and I'm telling you that it's not working for me,
yeah,
and I think that's more effective. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. It's just I know my personality with email, a text, or I'd just be pretty cut and dried and done. Then
yeah.
I'd get a phone call where I'm not gonna have to sit on the phone and hash it out. But if I see you in person, I can hash it out and can both get in our cars and go separate ways. Then it's
Yeah.
for me just shutting the door.
Yeah, so in that situation, it would be this. You do it in person, similar to the way that you started when you shared with me kind of how the conversations have gone in the past. But when you shut the door, you actually shut the door. Meaning,
Yeah,
for example, if you say some version of, I'm going to make up a name, Betty, and you say, hey, Betty, this is what's been going on. This isn't working for me. If you want to be kind about it, some version of, I appreciate our relationship thus far. I appreciate the way you showed up in A, B, and C moment. Thank you for X, Y, and Z. Maybe there's some benefit that you have received from this relationship. And given where I'm going forward, given the life that I want to live, given what's really important to me, this doesn't work for me anymore. And it's important to me that that's respected. And if they come back with, like when you said, I don't want to hear it, and they kind of, in your words, like steamrolled it forward and forced it anyway, that's when you just leave. Like that's when you excuse yourself from the situation of, hey, I told you I need this respected. This isn't working for me anymore. And if they're going to keep it going, which is often a kind of like a fear response, almost like a panic of, oh my God, she's leaving. But people are going to treat you the way you train them to treat you, and you have trained this person without realizing it to not take you at your word when you say you're done.
in this particular instance, yeah.
Yeah. And again, every situation is unique. It's not the case,
Yeah.
but the idea that in this particular instance, this person has learned that your no does not mean no, that your I'm done means see you later, but not like I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so with that in mind, there's ways of being respectful about it, but there's also the realization there's control and there's influence. I only have control over myself. I
Yeah.
don't have control over anybody else. I have influence to varying degrees, depending on, you have more influence over your kids than you do over this person, as an example.
Yeah.
And so you can't control how this person responds. You can't control how they act. It's not your response, even though this wasn't resonating before. I'm just going to bring it into the conversation. It's not your responsibility to save them. It's not your responsibility to like be the sounding board for them when it just drains you of energy and feels really bad. Because ultimately, if it's not you, it'll be somebody else. They
Yeah.
will ultimately find somebody else who might want to talk to them about these things because there are people like that. But you have a responsibility to Dorothy and to your family to make sure that you're in the best space you can be in, headspace, heart space, that your energy is as high as you want it to be. And when you've got people or environments that you're in or circumstances that are draining, when you keep them around, you're telling God, source, universe, unconscious mind, life, whatever you want to call that, that this is okay, more please because I'm sticking
Ooh.
around.
Ooh. Okay. Got it. Yeah, we don't want more of that. Definitely don't want more of that. But I hear what you're saying, and um, it's been a slow purge, but it's been a very effective purge of a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with that. Yeah, this has been an albatross. It's just been, what the hell,
Yeah.
It's,
It's funny, like a visual that came to mind while I was sharing it and while you were just sharing. It's like you're at an all-you-can-eat buffet, and the way this buffet works is they bring you food, and whatever you finish, they take the empty plate and they bring another one of that same thing. And so here's this buffet, and you've got all these different choices, and you go, well, that one right there, whatever, like, option B, I despise that one. I hate that. But you're eating it. So now the plate's empty, and then you go, and then they give you more. And why are they giving you more? Because in their mind, you like it because
Yeah,
you keep finishing it.
exactly.
And it's like, so life keeps bringing you more of what you say you don't want, but that's not why it's bringing it to you. It's bringing it to you because you're engaging with it.
I'm engaging it. Yeah,
And so wherever you put your focus, your attention, that's going to grow for you. And whatever you take your attention away from withers away. So with a plant, if you stop watering it, it dies. With a
yeah,
person, if you stop nurturing the relationship, it begins to fizzle away because the communication's not there, enough time goes by, and it's just you drift. And the thing is, that's true of everything in life. Wherever you put your attention, your focus, it expands for you. And right now, without meaning to, at least once a week, you're putting your attention on this relationship that you say you don't want, but X amount of weeks have gone by where you've continued to entertain it.
that's true. No, that's true. I agree with that. So that's an in-person meeting that I'm going to have to set up. So that means I have to respond to that email, text, and call that I got yesterday, so that I can set
Yeah.
something up. But I want to address that next week. If I can over the weekend, I will do so. But
And so notice then that could be something as simple as you're not replying to you are literally replying to the email, but you're not replying to whatever they said. It could be a reply of, "Hey, Betty, there's something I need to share with you. It's very important. I want to do it in person. Next week I can meet on this day, and this day. Like what works for you." And if for whatever the reason they're not willing to meet in person, then you just eventually just make it a message or something. But if they are
yeah,
willing to meet in person, as long as like I love that you said, hear the other person out, hear their perspectives and stuff, and that's beautiful that you're willing to do that. Knowing though that you have that responsibility, something could be working for the other person, but relationships are co-creative. So if it's not working for you and it's working for them, it's a one-sided relationship. So it's not really a relationship. It's just kind of they're
no,
taking, it's like they're taking from you.
absolutely.
And
And no,
so, yeah, if you're being used or if they're taking advantage and this doesn't work for me anymore, one option is it's kind of a clean cut where you have the meeting and this is it, we're done. There's another option where it might be if this person were to change, which may or may not be likely, if this person were to change and not behave in this way anymore, would I still want them in my life? And if the answer is still no, then
No,
yeah, yeah,
person's not going to change. This
yeah,
is who we are, and this is what we are, and we are very good in it. And I think it's important when somebody says, "Well, this is me, and you can take me or leave me." Um, but your take me or leave me is not attractive. You know, it's sort of saying I'm getting a relationship with Tom, and I say to Tom, what you see is what you get. I'm not going to pretend to be something. And then when we become better in our relationship, now you get to see the true me.
mhm,
You're going to see the true me right now, and we can work on it being together or not. Don't waste time because you're not going to change me. I think I've gotten to that point of just being willing to accept anybody for who they are, what you present to me. If you show me something different, I'm going to be annoyed because I don't do that with anybody.
yeah,
So this is, because I'm very upfront, I think it's more, that's the difficulty in just being able to say so many different ways. And that's all your fault. I'm just letting you know that's your fault for letting me know that I have to let people know in a nice way what the expectation is. And this one is just not landing.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
landing with this person.
Well, yeah, to your point, we talked about agreements and expectations.
Yeah.
And expectations are how most relationships operate. And there's a lot of mind reading going on of course, Tom's going to do this. Of course, Betty's going to do that. Of course, they're not going to do this. And then they do it or they don't do it. And we get upset. And it's like, how did you not know? I thought you were going to do this, but it was never clearly spoken. And then it turns into, well, you should have known, or, I would never have done that. And then it turns into this argument. And so expectations often lead to the disappointment. And
Yeah.
the agreements, most people are willing to honor it as long as it's mutually created. So if you and I had an agreement to be on this call at this time,
Yes.
and because we both agreed to it, here we are, right? But an expectation might be, oh, Dorothy, how about we meet sometime next week? And then I show up on the call and I go, Dorothy, where were you? Of course, Friday would have been the best day. And it's like, there's no reason why you would have known that because we didn't agree to that.
Agree.
And
Yeah.
so in this situation, there have just been there's your point of view and this person's point of view, and they are very different right now.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, I'm getting essentially, other than, in your words, a terrific sounding board, which I would recommend branching out and having somebody else in that role. So it doesn't have to be this person. But
Yeah.
in that way, you're basically getting nothing from it besides that. And this person is potentially getting a lot, which is why they keep reaching out. And the more you entertain that, the more you keep it around. And ultimately, it's like the rip the Band-Aid kind of metaphor.
Yeah.
If you got this wound and the Band-Aid was on for a period of time, and maybe it served a purpose for a period of time, but now for whatever the reason it's getting infected and it needs some clean air, it needs some sunshine, it needs to be cleaned up, you got to take that Band-Aid off. And sometimes
Yeah.
you got to rip it, and sometimes it's going to sting for a bit, but over the long term, it will heal. And it's like, well, that hurt in the moment, but thank God I did that.
No, I agree. I think I'm looking forward to just trying to deal with this next week. Because I think I'm also in a pretty solid space now. My focus is on a lot other things and it's in a better space, but I can't do that with this albatross here because
Yeah,
it's sucking the energy out.
yeah.
And I've
And
got
yeah,
energy to go in a different space.
to that point, as we kind of begin to wrap up, there's this law that I refer to as the law of sacrifice. And the idea is that it's very simple. Whenever you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else.
Yes.
You can't put, you can't multi-focus. I can't say, yeah, let's have this meeting in person at this time in Canada while I also want to be in Mexico. Like that doesn't work. You have to say yes to one thing and no to everything else. And so in this kind of way, when you say yes to this relationship, what are the consequences? What are you saying no to? All the other things you could be doing with that time, all the other people you could be spending time with, the ways of spending your energy, business ventures, anything else that you're wanting to do, different projects, you're saying no to all of those when you're saying yes to this relationship. And when you know that often these relationships have a lingering effect as well. So you let me know,
Yeah.
like the very fact that we're talking about it right now is an example. this person's not present, but they kind of are because they're in the space metaphorically here. And so you have the cost or the sacrifice of time and energy in the moment of conversation with this person. And
Yeah.
then you have the aftermath of the conversation, or maybe you feel drained, or maybe you're in a different headspace than you want to be, or maybe you missed out on some opportunity that you could have done during that time. And it might take you minutes, hours, a day or so to just kind of bounce back. Does that ever happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, with this person, with other people, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think, who has this happened with? Well, with this person, I think that it would be it would be a relief, and I don't know because I think before I go into a whole lot of anything, I try to mentally prepare myself for uh in this particular space, I'm gonna get the whole probably pushback. Um, and it's not as if I'm going to get anything that I'm not surprised by, but I know I'm not going to get. I've done so much for you. It's more like I can't believe you're doing this.
Yeah.
It's sort of that's the
Yeah.
conversation. But I'm mentally going to be prepared for that. But I think I'm also looking at relief. I
Yeah.
actually feel very relieved right now, just having a chat about it because it helps me. Yeah, otherwise I'd be having this conversation with my mirror
Yeah.
trying to just work it through, just so that I'm trying to say the right things and anticipating the pushback, blowback, whatever. It's just I'm in a good space for this
Yeah.
now. But this conversation reinforces the fact that I need to get it done
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah. And so if we were to say, let's say it's been a year and you're looking back at the peace, the relief, whatever you use that time and energy for elsewhere, and what's the decision that you'd be proud of that you made?
Say that again, because I think I
Yeah.
missed something. If I
Yeah.
look back at having cut off this relationship a year later, just to make sure I heard you right, um, where would I feel proud or not proud? I missed
Yeah.
something
Yeah. Yeah.
there.
So basically, you're at this, let's say, fork where you have a decision
Yes,
to make of how you want to move forward.
absolutely.
And let's say it's been a year
Mhm.
and you're looking back and whatever occurred, depending on your decision, the dust has already settled and life has occurred the way it's been. What's the decision that you believe you'd be more proud of yourself for having made?
I met in person and told this person this is it. I
Yeah.
think that's my big thing. It's just I think with this particular person I've got to do it in person. That's all. Because I think that only because I believe this person has found a lot of value in me. I don't think I found the same value in that person, but because I'm getting the sense that I'm that important to this person, it would be very just not me to just send a note or
Yeah.
a call. And it's just, I think it's also more respectful to say this is it, even though I'm going to be hearing a whole lot of something, I could walk away from that feeling really good that I did it the right way, my right way,
Yeah.
as opposed to just an email or a text message or a phone call.
Yeah. And so bringing it full circle, looking at my notes, we started with you said, I want a clear focus on how I need to be and who I need to be to remove people who don't belong. One of the questions to be with then is, well, I would choose to be the version of me that in hindsight, I'm proud of how I showed up. I'm proud of how I handled that. I feel I can hold my head up high. I feel that it was the right decision for me and for my life. And when you can show up that way, and then you also bring in, okay, I've tried having this conversation before, but with this person, doesn't seem to have worked. So then the question becomes in that kind of mental rehearsal of it, well, how's this one going to be different? Well, it's going to be different because I'm actually going to mean it when I say we're done. And I'm actually going to, that might look like blocking the text messages. That might look like blocking the phone call or at least if you don't do that, the non-responding of it. But just that idea of if you've done it before and it hasn't worked, what's going to be different going forward? It needs to be a shift in behavior, and it needs to
Yes,
be a integrity with your word. And so the integrity with your word of if I'm actually done with this, be done with it.
absolutely. No, I agree. And I read my
Yeah.
integrity. See, I love that thing. I keep it close
Yeah.
because I live by that. And it's just, and that's where I think my disappointment with myself is, what is up with you and your word? You are
Yeah.
not sticking to it.
Yeah.
So that's what I was. And I needed to be able to just, I mean, I know I'm doing the right thing. I think it helps to have it reinforced. But yeah, I live with this integrity document. I love it, love it, love it because it is the way I show up. And the fact that I am so not using it in this particular instance with this person is very disappointing to me. And so I'm beating myself up, which, maybe it's a good thing because it's a challenge for me. But I'm actually going to leave here with, yeah, we're going to have the conversation next week. I'm going to reach out and take care of it. But I'm also going to explain why it's really important to me because I always give my word and I've never broken my word.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to me that I just do this also because I think I have so many other things going on that this is taken up it's like a weed in my real estate brain. It's just weeds. I gotta
Yeah.
get rid of the weeds and it's gotta go. So yeah, no, I'm leaving with a very clear focus, but more importantly, I'm leaving with reassurance that I am doing the right thing. And if I don't, then I am absolutely condoning this behavior and I'm training the other person to treat me this way. So
Yeah. And to the integrity piece, it's just that idea of, like you said, you're in integrity in the majority, let's say, of areas of your life. And so, of course, life is presenting to you in reflection as like a mirror, the area
yeah,
in your life where you're out of integrity and you're out of integrity with yourself.
yeah,
But in a way, you're also out of integrity with the other person because there's the idea of it's like if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I don't want to be there, but they think I do, I'm out of integrity in that sense because
absolutely.
they're present because they think I want to be there, and I actually don't want to be there, but I'm not saying anything. So all that to say, this is an opportunity. There's no have to, need to, must do, should do, etc. This is an opportunity if you choose to restore integrity with yourself, where you feel proud of, I've determined what it is that I want going forward for my life. I've determined who and what no longer belong. And I handled it in such a way that is the best I knew how to do. And I then, in the aftermath of it, enforced that boundary, maintained the integrity, knowing that it's going to be the right move for me going forward. And then I often tell people, you never know if a decision is right until after you make it. So you make the
Agree.
decision with the best information that you have, and then you look at the result of that decision, and then you get some feedback from it, and you say, okay, is that still moving me in the right direction? So if you make the decision and you notice that, wow, I just freed up the garden from all those weeds. I feel a lot more relief right now. I've got a lot more mental bandwidth. I like that. Then that means it was the right decision for you. And then you keep looking at the long-term impact and the feedback that life is giving you from that decision. And then you can always make a new decision. But for right now, it sounds like you know what needs to happen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know what needs to happen, and I thank God that it was reinforced here. But then I would just go execute and get my integrity back because that's killing me.
Yeah.
Just I know it, and it's just why can't I just nail this door shut? And
Yeah.
so, and I'm prepared for. I think I'm prepared. I've been preparing for whatever the conversation would be with this person, but it's good. I am ready and able, and I'll shoot you a message later. Not today,
Yeah.
next week, to let you
Okay.
know how it was executed and whether I'm still alive. I'm
Yes.
kidding.
Yeah, yeah. No, and it's also just in closing, just reminding yourself it's not why can't I like nail the coffin closed? I can up until this point, I haven't been willing to for a
Yeah,
variety of reasons. Now that all the reasons are out on the table, then you can reflect on that and go, given these are the reasons why I haven't been willing to. Now I see it all. What
yeah,
decision do I want to make? Knowing
agree.
that, again, I often tell people the present moment's always pregnant with the next moment. If you want a better tomorrow, you have to create a better today. And the only way to create a better today is to create a better now. So it's what's the decision that I can make now that will actually alter the trajectory of my future? Because if I keep doing more of the same, I'm going to keep getting more of the same.
True. I agree with that. And yeah, no, I'm ready to deal with this and address it and be on a good path to sanity. So
Beautiful. Do you feel complete for now, Dorothy?
I feel great. I think this was absolutely necessary, was wonderful. And it gave me a lot of clarity. I mean, clarity because I kept going through the whole just do it already and just get it done. But then I read my integrity document again, and it just centers me to you're doing the right thing. But it's great to hear from you that I'm doing the right thing and some other aspects of just getting it done properly so that I can have some sort of peace back where I may have been lacking that peace. So that when I get a phone call, I'm saying, oh my God, is that person again? No, I can block it off and be okay. Because I will have to block off all the access numbers in order to make sure it's dealt with properly.
Yeah. So, so wonderful. Yeah. When there is a mess in our life that we're experiencing, I always encourage people, empower yourself and ask, what role am I playing in this mess being created, being perpetuated,
Yeah,
etc.? And what role do I play in ending or cleaning up the mess? And when you can step into all three of those, you will know exactly what to do.
absolutely. No, I get it. And I appreciate you always.
Likewise. All my love, and I'll talk to you soon.
Stay blessed. Thank you. Bye.
Every person I've coached on this podcast arrived believing they had one challenge. And almost every time we discovered that the real challenge was something deeper, an invisible pattern, a hidden belief, an emotional burden they didn't realize they were carrying. If you recognize yourself in these conversations and you're ready to uncover what's been slowing your success, impacting your relationships, limiting your health, or keeping you from the life you know you're capable of living, I'd love to support you. You can schedule a conversation using the link in the podcast description or at my website, jamilsayed.com. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. And remember, transformation starts today.
Thank you for being with us today. If this conversation served you, it would mean a lot if you left a review and shared this with anyone who may benefit. An extraordinary life without regret is available to you now. Choose it. It's your time.